I am in training to go where few civilians have gone, a place the US Air Force call the Space Equivalent Zone. I'll be so high above the Earth, I'll need this spacesuit just to stay alive.
3, 2, 1.
I've 3 days of punishing training to get through.
Oh, that really hurts.
Unless you're screaming for dear mother and God all the way down, you should have plenty of air.
I will be.
But at the end, I'm in for the flight of a lifetime in a truly remarkable aircraft. Short of becoming an astronaut, it's as close to space as I can get.
Yes! Oh man, I've got that curvature of the horizon thing. Look at that, that's perfect. Oh, it's lovely. Man, it's heaven.
The U-2 is one of the strangest flying machines ever built. It's a relic of the Cold War, a controversial and top-secret aircraft that pushed the boundaries of aviation to new heights. Here it is, the Lockheed U-2, or the Dragon Lady to her close friends. It has the fuselage of a jet fighter, but it has the wings of a glider, 104 feet of them, and for a very good reason. These are designed to cling on to terrifyingly thin air. This is the world's highest flying plane. A jumbo flying across the Atlantic will typically fly at between 35 and 40,000 feet. This will fly at 70,000 feet. From the cockpit of this, the jumbo down below will appear as small as it normally does from the ground. And from there, I'll be able to see the curvature of the Earth, and I'll be able to look up at the blackness of space. To fly a U-2, you need over 1,000 jet fighter hours under your belt. I don't have any, but thankfully, I've been teamed up with one of the most experienced pilots in the Air Force. Hello, sir.
Hello, James.
You must be John Cabigas.
That's right. It's good to meet you.
And you're the pilot?
Yes, I still am
Definitely.
the pilot.
Excellent. So we can't just get in and go, can we? I know that you're going to want to torture me and generally humiliate me first.
Well, that's necessary, of course. But we'll have 2.5 days worth of training to make sure that you know how to egress out of the aircraft. We'll do some local area survival training for you. Make sure that if we do have to eject out of the aircraft and land in the woods or in the ocean, that you'll be able to survive.
Is that fighting off bears and that sort of thing?
And sharks. We do have great white sharks as well. Yeah.
All right.
And of course, since we're going to be flying above 70,000 feet, without a full pressure suit to keep you alive, you're a goner up there.
And it really is a spacesuit?
It really is a spacesuit. We can't actually use it in outer space. Space shuttle pilots actually borrowed our suits and used it on their first shuttle mission.
Really?
That's right.
That may seem pretty routine to a U-2 pilot like Cabby, but the idea that my life will depend on this suit at 70,000 feet, that's quite alarming. Now, space geeks will be very keen to point out that space officially starts at 60 miles altitude. At 70,000 feet, I will only be about 13 miles up. However, back long before the space race started in the 1950s, the beginning of space was considered to be 50,000 feet, and that's because physiologically, i.e. in terms of the effect it has on your body, 50,000 feet is space. If you walked outside into 50,000 feet wearing normal clothes like these, you'd be dead in probably 5 seconds. But U-2s were designed to fly way beyond that. As far back as 1955, the Air Force had to find a way to keep pilots alive in what they considered space. And in order to do that, the Americans were forced to invent what we would now call the spacesuit. And that is why, even though the Soviets stole a bit of a march on the Americans at the beginning of the space race, the Americans were ahead on the development of the spacesuit. It's one of the reasons they went on to win the race to the moon. And it means that whenever you see old film of astronauts floating in space, the suits they're wearing are practically identical to the one I'll be wearing during my flight. If I'm going to be a spaceman, I better pay attention. If I don't shape up, I don't fly. I've been given a schedule, and today I have to have a medical. And they've asked me to bring my entire medical history from birth, which is all in that folder, and my dental records, which is presumably so they can identify me from my jawbone when they find it in the desert in 3 years' time. Time to meet the doctor.
James, could you please come this way?
Righto. Have you felt down, depressed, or hopeless? No. Are you currently feeling threatened or afraid? That's a no, isn't it? It says, are you having any thoughts of hurting yourself or others? Strictly that's a yes, but I think they want me to put no. Obviously, as this is a military medical, I'm not expecting anything all touchy-feely or anything like that. Well, actually, the risk could be that it's very touchy-feely. Could be worse. Hello. The good doctor has to be thorough. Any sign of illness or physical defects, and they can't risk putting me in a spacesuit. Ta-da! That is medical clearance to fly. And more importantly, from my point of view, my leg measurements taken from top of my hip to the end of my knee falls within a range that means in the event that we have to eject, I won't get my legs ripped off, which is terrific news. Now, no spaceman is properly prepared without space pants. But suitably attired, I'm ready to be introduced to my space suit. Morning.
Take two.
Right, what do we do?
Have a seat.
Seat. The long johns are just the first of my suit's 5 layers. Breathable Gore-Tex, airtight rubber, a restraining wire mesh, and the yellow protective layer create an airtight cocoon around me. Right, I've got a bit of a hair issue here. This is $250,000 worth of space technology.
1, 2, 3.
This suit is going to be my life support system. I have to learn to avoid suffocating once I'm sealed inside. It's all right, actually. It's better than I expected. Cabby's here. He's promised to hold my hand for the next bit, because if I can't operate all these regulators, I'm in trouble.
Whenever we're ready, we're going to go ahead and connect your oxygen.
They keep the suit pressurized, control the temperature inside, and deliver oxygen into my helmet.
You don't want to inflate the suit without your visor down because it'll try to extrude your head out the helmet.
You don't want that.
I guess I look the part now, but the big test is whether the suit, and I, can hold up under extreme pressure. Here goes.
And we'll go ahead and bring you down. Try to get it as slow as possible.
Oh. Can you open this up a minute?
You doing okay?
No, can you let it down? Oh.
What's wrong? Ears, sinus?
No, it's really freaking me out. Sorry. I'm doing my best, but it's awful. Oh. Oh. Sorry, please don't film it.
First time I ever put just our low flight helmet on, the gray helmet with the mask, I was very claustrophobic and ended up actually vomiting after that episode. It's pretty common, it's pretty normal, and you just do a couple things to try to overcome that. Again, mind over matter.
Well, I've done my first series of spacesuit tests, and the suit works perfectly well, but I'm not sure I performed that brilliantly because I do find it, if I'm brutally honest, a bit claustrophobic. It's not the suit's fine, it's actually very comfortable, it's the helmet. It's very close to your head and it's got a rubber seal around and the oxygen hisses in and out and the visor's right there. It just freaks me out a bit. U-2s first went into service in 1955. Their objective was to spy in total secrecy on America's Cold War enemy, the Soviet Union. The plane was built to fly way beyond the reach of enemy fighters or missiles or even radar. But its cover was blown in 1960 when pilot Gary Powers fell out of the sky over Russia, causing a bit of a to-do. And it was a pig to land. Pilots had to rely on their mates to talk them down to earth from high-speed cars on the runway.
8 at the T, down to 6, 5, 4, 3.
And 50 years later, they're still at it.
Just a little bit more left rudder, 1.5 more.
Tail coming down, 6 inches, hold it on.
Definitely on the center line.
Definitely on the center line. Now the wingtips have titanium skids on the bottom, so they are designed to scrape that way.
Spectacular.
Once the planes come to a halt, there's a remarkably low-tech way of holding up the wings. And I can't resist making myself useful.
Got another body. I was just adding my weight to this wing to lift the other one up. It's as simple as that, so they can get the so-called pogo back in.
There it is then. Funny old beast, but I rather like it.
Well, I must say this has all been rather excellent so far. I've bonded with the U2 a bit. Chased it up and down the runway in the car, which was a novel experience. Never done that before. Tomorrow, though, it does get a little bit more serious because I have to learn how to get out of that in an emergency, i.e. eject, and how to survive if I happen to come down in the Californian desert somewhere. Still, it'll be great.
Bailing out at 70,000 feet would be no charity parachute jump. Blasted into thin air inside a sealed suit, I'd have 13 miles to fall, most of it strapped to my seat.
Morning.
How you doing?
Hartzler.
I'm
Very
Sergeant
well.
Hartzler. I'll be your egress and parachute trainer for today.
Feet, leg, butt, back, roll. Shall I do it again?
Do it again.
I knew you'd say that.
Why might I need to eject? It's unlikely, isn't it?
I won't say it's unlikely, but
please say it's
it does
unlikely.
happen. It does happen, and that's why we do this training, to prepare you for that.
Feet down, rudder, I'm in.
You may have to eject due to the tail falling off, an explosion in the air for any reason. But this is a pretty safe aircraft. We've got a very good track record.
Do the tails fall off regularly?
We fixed that problem a long time ago. The pilot says bail out, bail out, bail out. What I want you to do is to put your feet back, okay? Your shoulder blades are gonna be back.
Yep.
There you go.
Can I stay here for a bit?
I want you to take your left hand, grab your right wrist. The reason why I'm having you practice that, because up in altitude, if you were to go convertible, it's gonna take that much strength to grab that wrist to bring it down to that ejection handle. Unless you are screaming for dear mother and God all the way down, you should have plenty of air.
I will be. Oh, I banged my head that time. Shall I do it again?
Do it again.
Cool matron.
This is our pilot torture device.
Okay, slide out slowly.
Yep. There you go.
Ow!
Oh, those feel good, don't they?
Oh, bloody hell.
Now, you're gonna release the loosest one first, which is this one. There you go.
Whoa, that really hurts.
All right, go and stand up.
No.
Any other questions?
Can I have my testicles back? Excellent. Thank you very much.
Have a great flight, and hope to see you back.
Yes, hopefully I won't need anything that you've taught me, ever.
And that's what we plan for.
It's a critical stage in my training. I'm back in the spacesuit, this time preparing for a much bigger challenge. This is my introduction to high-altitude physiology. I'm entering a vacuum chamber which can simulate the atmosphere at 75,000 feet.
Well then, I've done all the training a civilian can really do. I can even remember about half of it. And providing the weather is good enough tomorrow, it looks as if it probably will be, then we're off. And I'm very excited. I am slightly apprehensive, I'll be brutally honest with you. I don't like wearing the spacesuit. I find it very, very claustrophobic. Never like that sort of thing. And the instant I put the visor down, I get an itch on the end of my nose. And it'll be down for 4 hours or so. But they do it, so they do it for 12 hours, in fact, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
It's the big day. Today is my chance to dip my toe into the infinity of space. As I'm suited up for real, it's dawning on me how vulnerable humans are the moment we leave the safety of Earth. Sure, moon rockets were amazing inventions, but the Apollo astronauts themselves were only on board thanks to the technology of human survival in space. If a suit like this was good enough to get Neil Armstrong to the moon, it's good enough for me. I do actually feel a bit like an Apollo astronaut now, on the long journey out to the launch pad.
Into the weather. Stand by one there.
That's quite a climb.
NorCal.
That is incredible.
There's so much lift in this thing, we're climbing at 8,000 feet every minute.
What's the highest you've been in a jet before?
45,000 feet.
We'll be past that in roughly about 2 minutes.
Right, so I'm about to break my personal altitude record.
That's correct.
This is situation normal for the U-2, which is still at the forefront of strategic reconnaissance after 50 years. Or as they put it, in God we trust, all others we monitor.
We're just approaching the start of what was space in the old days.
That's correct, here it comes.
1,000 feet, there it is. slight build-up of what I believe you Americans call gas.
No, we call it a fart.
You call permission to decompress, sir.
Permission granted.
Thank you. Excuse me.
I think I'm gonna have a little bit of lunch.
You having lunch?
Yes, sir.
Righto, I might join you with a bit of apple pie. Oh.
Perhaps that'll take my mind off the fact that we're hardly clinging on in this thin air. If Cabby changes speed by as little as 10 knots, we'll fall out of the sky. It's a margin U2 pilots call Coffin Corner.
God, I've just noticed how dark the sky is. God, I hadn't looked up.
It's quite dark, isn't it?
That's incredible. There it is. 70,000 feet. This is madness. Is there anybody else up here? Presumably not. Yes! Oh man, I've got that curvature of the horizon thing. Look at that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
This looks fantastic. Oh, it's lovely. Do you get bored of looking at that? Surely not.
Oh, I never do.
Oh, it's terrific. Now let's see if it works. Oh, yes! Gosh, made me feel slightly emotional.
Feel free.
This is an uncanny sensation. It's like dangling from some celestial child's mobile, even though I know we're cruising at nearly 500 knots. And apart from the crew of the space station, we're the highest people in the world.
Man in heaven. The sky looks just breathtaking. If indeed that is the sky, most of the sky is below us. I think that might be a view of eternity.
Technically speaking, you are correct.
It's absolutely just almost impossible to articulate what it feels like. That is the real shape of the good earth. It's rather humbling.
You're welcome. Welcome to the world of high flying.
There you go. Oh, God. Sorry, I'm slightly... What? It's amazing. Thank you, Skipper.
Welcome back to Earth. Good job. Yeah, I got something special for you that you don't know. Turn around this way so everybody can see. So, what you didn't know is I stowed this aboard on your pressure suit, and I'd like you to have your own 70,000 foot $2 bill there.
Oh, thank you.
What do you think of that?
Fantastic. Still suffering a little bit of rapid decompression. Is that normal?
You mean your guts?
The experience Cabby has just given me is actually priceless. But even so, I'll always treasure my $2 souvenir from the edge of space. Because every time I take it out of my wallet, I remember this.